Hello and welcome along to another episode of Business Unlocked. And I'm delighted today to have with me someone who I value highly. She has great insights and she's been in the coaching industry for over 20 years, in business for a long, long time. And she does something a little bit differently to most people who just dwell in that logical space. Iesha Delune, she just doesn't hear the words, but the wisdom underneath. And that's a real skill that you have to develop over time. And you have to truly listen to what people are saying and help them. I talk about the clarity and insight, and Iesha is just the queen of getting to all of those things. Welcome along, Iesha Delune.
Thank you so much, Marcus.
So wonderful to have you here. I first met Iesha through Profit First, and she's actually somebody who sits there to help all of us at Profit First get to, well, I suppose the heart is the right way of saying it as well, Iesha, as well as inside our heads to help us move forward in our lives and businesses.
Well, what I would say is what I bring is the opportunity to learn how to be in business congruently. Now, the
Okay.
Iesha definition of congruence is
Yeah.
body, heart, mind, and soul all on the same page.
Yeah.
And so, yes, it includes the heart.
That's an interesting one, and if people don't understand that, they're going to have to do a bit more to get in there. Can you give a 30-second explanation of what that means?
So, in terms of congruence, I mean, just think about the times that like your heart's wanted to do one thing, the brain has wanted to do, your inspiration wants to do something else. Another part of your brain goes, no, 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 follow the pattern that so and so set out for me. Or you might have intuition to do something that's different to those other things. So that's what incongruence looks like. Incongruence also looks like when we're showing up for something, but we're procrastinating or we don't want to, or we're stressed. All of that is feedback that we're out of alignment. So congruence is body, heart, mind, and soul. If you're not into the idea that you have a soul, just go body, heart, mind, and your energy, you get up and go,
Yeah.
all moving in the same direction.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, awesome. All right. So what I always ask people is to bring their lessons and messages from being in business themselves, as well as with people like yourself, an expert in particular areas. So let's start with that. What's the first message or lesson that you have for business owners, or people in general? I think would be wonderful for your insights.
Yeah, well, number one, be you. Please, please be you. So
Okay.
this comes from like over 20 years of coaching people, and let's say in a business, in a business context, this is a business podcast, but same for personal. So many people come up with an idea of what a business owner should look like, or they borrow their
Yes.
strategy from someone and they show up in it, and it's kind of like a tropical fish trying to be a cold water fish. All of the feedback is that it's stressed, and then the poor little fish blames itself. Whereas if it was willing to actually just be, if people are willing to be who they are, then that naturalness will flow out into their business. Now, what does that mean?
Exactly. That was my
Right?
next
Yeah,
question.
yeah, beautiful. So this kind of links in. Marcus gave me the heads up that there was, three things we we're going to talk about. The first one's BU, the second one's congruent, so they're kind of fitting together. What that looks like is being you means work in a way that you enjoy. So work in a way, there are ways that all of us like to connect with other people or not connect with other people. So being you means deeply honoring that. If
Can you
you
give me an example of
I'm going to give
what
you
you
an
mean?
example. So if we
Okay.
think about being in business, there's certain, I think of it like a circle. There is, to use really, standard phrases, there is client attraction. There's that opportunity to invite them to work with you. There's working with them. There's retaining them. There's this process that we're always in when we're working on our business as well as in our business. When you have permission to be you, every single part of that is going to be something that you enjoy. So business owners go, oh, I don't like social media, so I can't be in business. And I'm like, no, well, if you like talking to people, you can have an in-person networking client attraction strategy. You can
Yeah.
work in person. It doesn't matter that Joe Blow over there that's got his $1 million strategy only works online. If that doesn't feel good to you, please don't. Just please don't, because the more successful you get, the more burnt out you'll be.
Yeah, and does that also mean that if you're really that out of sorts with it, that using that strategy, could that be counteractive to you? Like it just won't work for you anyway, as well as stressing you out, do you think?
Look, either way, it's not good. If you sometimes
Okay.
with enough effort and dedication, we can make something wildly out of alignment with who we are work, but then you've got to show up and do it.
Yeah.
And there will be health consequences, energy consequences.
I
You
I
will
was
have
going
a
to say
shorter
that's where the
fuse.
burnout happens, though,
That's
isn't
where the
it? Like,
burnout happens.
you can adapt for so long, but unless you're highly adaptable, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And highly adaptable doesn't mean like if a pear tree is planted somewhere that it can't really thrive,
Yeah.
there's not going to be the nutrient value in the pears.
Yeah.
So it just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
And if
And
you
it
want to be
doesn't.
enjoyable to be around, probably BU is helps it as well because it does have an impact on the rest of our lives.
Yes. Well, and so that's important, isn't it? We keep
It is.
saying and bringing to people the idea is business is not your life. It's a vehicle that we use to serve our life. But at the same time, definitely being a big part of your life. So you should enjoy it.
Yeah, and to me, there's no separation anymore in terms of like I'm going to be me in this conversation and
Yep.
I said yes because I really enjoy you and I like what you're doing, so it's all aligned, but I'm going to be me. And I'm going to
Yeah.
be just as me as I was out for dinner on Saturday night or like so it's I get to show up in my business and I don't there's not a persona I put on. It's I just get to be
Yeah.
me everywhere and I get paid to be me, which is super fun.
Yeah. What difference does that make to you to uh, just not meaning to diminish it, I'm meaning only to be you instead of having to put personas on? What difference does that make to you?
Putting a persona on uses a lot of energy.
Okay.
So that's just, I don't need to do that. The other thing with putting a persona on is that we get even more invested in the outcome. And I'll explain what I mean. So it's like, if you're, let's imagine, right, I'm a lemon tree and I've
Okay.
grown one lemon and I've grown it wildly out of alignment. I mean, I'm planted somewhere I can't really thrive. It's taken all my energy to make this one lemon.
Yeah, it's
I'm going to
probably
be
my backyard if you're
so invested in how much the person that I give that lemon to, how much they enjoy it.
right.
Whereas if I am planted somewhere where I'm naturally thriving, I'm just being me, I bring a lot less. And this is the third thing that I was going to talk about today.
Okay.
The cycle that I see deplete so many business owners of expectation and disappointment. The more out of alignment you are, the harder it is to show up. The more you load what you're doing with expectation, because it's been so hard. I need it to work so much so it was worth it. And then when it doesn't work, it's like we can break our own heart or we just feel so gutted. But when you're
Yeah.
showing up, just allowing yourself to be you in a natural way, it's so much easier to be in the flow of that.
Yeah.
And I do find that it's more magnetic, but that's probably an energy
Well,
conversation.
no, well, that was actually, I think, along the next question I was going to have, which is when you're showing up like that, do the other people feel that the person that you're communicating with? And my mind was going to sales. If you're going into a sales conversation and you're not feeling being the salesman, you're
Yeah.
putting that on, and that we could have another conversation about beliefs and everything that go around sales.
Yeah.
But if that's you, and let's say you have some negative beliefs around sales, so you're putting on this front of a sales person, how's that coming across to the other person and affecting them?
Well, I think we potentially all know the answer to that conversation because we might
Yeah.
have been it's not going to be as comfortable. And again, we're loading it with expectations. So it's like, to me, if we unpacked that, I would be like, stop thinking of it as a sales conversation. That's why I
Yes.
was like client attraction and invitation. So I don't do
Yeah.
sales calls.
Yeah.
I make sure whoever is coming onto a discovery call with me has kind of read my coaching page, has a sense of the prices and things like that, because I like transparency so
Yes.
no one gets a shock. And then my process is just curiosity
Yeah.
and getting a sense of making sure I know where they are, where they want to be, being really sure I've got the depth and breadth of experience to support them. And if I'm clear on that and I'm congruent that they're the kind of person that I'm going to enjoy spending time with as well, then I make that invitation.
Yes.
So I don't get onto a discovery call with any expectation of a sale, because they might say three things in the opening minute that make me go, oh, I don't want to spend, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time with you. It doesn't really happen, but do you know what I mean? So it's much more
Yeah. Yeah.
about
Yeah. I mean,
invitation.
I think what you're saying is by the time they get to that time of having a meeting with you, they're along that path. So it's
Yeah,
just
they've normally come
a
to
bit
something,
of a
or yeah,
final check. Their mind's a bit made
yeah,
up. But there is that other part then of what does sales mean to you, getting those thoughts and beliefs right. Because I'm like you, I say, and if I'm training people in sales, my definition is professionally helping people to make the best decisions about the best products or services for their needs. Because most of the people that I work with in business are selling products or services. So my role is
yeah,
to help that. And I talk about assuming the sale, but I say that means I treat them as though they're clients. I'm not worried about that end point. We're here for something from me, and if I can help you at the moment, I'll help you. And if that turns into a professional engagement, it turns into a professional engagement. And if we're not a good fit, that's fine as well. Maybe I know somebody who is. So it's along those lines.
yeah. Well, to me, if it's a congruent yes for me
Yeah,
and a congruent yes for them, then we move forward.
yeah,
So that's really that's what I'm looking for, and there's things I need to know to see if I'm the right fit, and they're allowed to ask me things as well. So to me, it doesn't. There's nothing about it that feels salesy,
yeah, yeah,
because I'm going to naturally be me. I've got the skills to help someone be as naturally them as they can,
yeah.
and we're looking for that mutual congruency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So could you give me some examples, obviously without breaking confidentiality, of how you've helped people? Because I think that will help people understand as well. He says, putting me on the spot,
No,
Marcus.
no, no. It's kind of like the bird song in the morning. There's so many examples that I can think of. So
Sure.
let's say in a business setting, I've had many clients that have come in with a business, and they're either like they're burning out,
Yeah.
or they're fully booked, all the things that everyone said you're meant to want, and
Yes.
none of them actually wants to show up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So either of those things, burnt out is different to not wanting to show up. It's like they're not loving it. So
Yeah.
what we're going to do is a deep dive into because there is incongruence, there's out of alignmentness, and there's normally that they're not being kind of authentically themselves as well. And so it's looking at all of those elements of business, from how they're attracting clients, because if they're attracting clients, their client attraction strategies is stuff that they hate doing. Well, we've got to find things that they love doing. And
Hmm.
in talking to people, you will find the light. We all know what it's like when we're lit up.
Yes.
And clients will literally say, once we get nice and relaxed and comfortable and we're not trying to be anything but ourselves, it'll be like, oh, what I'd really love to do is this. And I'm like, great, let's map that, because I'm very good at the coaching element. Once we've got a goal, I'm
You
very
are.
good at breaking
You
that down
are.
and moving into steps
You
and
are.
all
And
those
could you
things.
just explain to people what you mean by map that, please?
Well, if I say to you, well, you say to me, I want a business where I'm making at least $10,000 a month because of blah 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 blah, and I want to do that with in-person events.
Right.
Then the mapping of that is like, excellent. Okay, how are we going to build a way of you showing up congruently as you, that you enjoy doing, that's going to help new people find out that you exist?
Yes.
And how are we going to, communicate with them regularly enough that they get that like no
It's a bit
trust?
like the plan. you
It's the
might
plan.
say.
It's the map. Yeah, well, the map. How do you get from
Yeah,
here to here?
yeah,
And then what is that offering actually going to look like? And with most business clients, I've got to stop them at every single point because their pattern will be incongruence because they've been showing up incongruently the whole time. They'll go, I know how to do this, and they'll want to do it in that old incongruent way. And I've got to go, oh, stop, stop, stop. And I've got to teach them about their congruency signals so that they actually love every single step. They
yeah.
love
So
it.
that's the congruence that you talk about is then you're bringing them back to that
Yeah.
alignment all the way along
Back to
the
you, all the way along.
yeah. And do you find that it takes that outside observer too often to for people to understand that they're out of alignment because they're so used to going down that other path?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Not because our minds habituate to any constant.
Yes.
You live in New York, you don't hear the traffic noise unless it's something
Yeah,
extra,
yeah, yeah.
extra,
Great
right? So
example.
yeah, any constant we habituate to. So we're so used to living inside our patterns. So let's say the people pleaser overgiver, as just to pick one
Yeah.
pattern. They're so used to doing it that when their client wants a whole lot of stuff that actually isn't in the package that they've signed up for, they just do it. They don't even stop to
Yes.
think. And then they end up in this, I don't want to show up in my business anymore. But it wasn't actually their client attraction or their package. It was how they manage the relationship within it. So normally it's, yes, there's pretty much no substitute to having an expert witness walk the path beside you. I've needed it myself. At
Yeah.
any time I want to create significant change, I can't see other than the way I'm used to seeing, which is through my own pattern. So having that external observer, and not just any external observer, like our friends or family will have their own filter on and often investment in the choices we make or their own
Yeah.
perception. So a neutral, qualified, independent observer, and particularly one trained as a coach, is incredibly useful because we've got that forward moving. Here you are, here's where you want to go. Let's map
Yeah.
and walk the way and shed everything that doesn't serve you along the way.
And I really like when you said neutral there. So can you explain to people what you mean by a neutral observer?
So, my only goal when I work with clients is their congruence.
Mm-hmm.
So, that doesn't mean I'm invested in them staying with their business partner or keeping that particular product that they've offered in the past. I don't have an investment in anything other than their own congruence.
Yes.
So that's different to say I have a client at the moment that I'm working with who really needs to drop her number of hours she's working, and we're working on her overgiving. So it's too many hours and almost no limit. Like her time with clients are just bleeding out into family time and all of that. But
Yes.
her partner is very invested in the amount of money that she's bringing in. So it's like
Right.
she doesn't have that neutral observer because he just goes into fear if that amount is going to drop.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm neutral. If she has a money goal that she needs to work to, that's absolutely no problem. But I've got other ways of helping her achieve that. Maybe we do a group program, or I can maintain her money goal. But step one is going to need to be teaching her how to manage her clients congruently so she doesn't overgive, and dropping the number of hours she works. So I can do all of that neutrally because I don't have my own investment other than me being invested in
Yeah.
her honouring her.
I'd use the word when I'm working with the CEO and there's the management people there, one of the things they like is what I call I don't have a political agenda in the company because I'm outside of it. I'm not
Yeah.
here to help that person get a promotion or do this or that. I'm here
Yep.
for the CEO to get the best outcome to go towards where they want. So that objectivity, and that can mean that maybe the conversation isn't one they enjoy having. And I'd say, here's my observation, if I'm allowed to give that. So that's how I would see that. Is that along the same lines as neutral with what you're saying?
Potentially, I'd have to
Hmm.
ask more questions. But yeah, so the neutrality is that I'm not invested in any of their specific choices.
Yeah.
My investment, which I'm very clear about, that's what the discovery call process is about, is your holistic life coaching with me, whether it's business or your relationship or your
Yeah.
parenting or whatever we're talking about, is about your alignment. And
Yeah.
that alignment is undeniable. So generally when people are seen in that and I can help them feel that their feelings make sense, like their stress makes sense. It doesn't need to be managed, it just needs to be understood.
Yeah.
Any resentment they've got, all of it makes sense. It's the opposite of uncomfortable. Usually it's just deep relief.
Yeah.
And then there might be sort of some discomfort in terms of, oh, okay, well, now how do I get from here to there? But that's what our coaching is about. We map the journey from here to there, whether it's shifting the relationship or shifting what they're doing or how they're doing it.
And that uncomfortableness you talk about isn't necessarily a bad thing, you're saying. Like if we're going from here to there.
No, I mean, one thing I like to speak about as often as I get the chance to is there is a massive difference between having a plan to do something incongruent versus having a totally aligned plan that lights you up, but you haven't yet done it 100 times, so you don't really know how.
Yeah.
And so there's a bit of, oh, this is new discomfort, but it's not
Yes.
because it's wrong. It's just that you don't have the lived, you
Yes.
don't have the lived experience that makes it effortless and easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great. Okay. Fantastic. So, yeah, a lot there, and in 20 minutes we've scratched the surface of the things you go into, obviously, Iesha. So thank you very much for being here. Any final words before we tell people how to get in contact with you? Sum it up.
Oh, look, probably, well, thank you very much for having me. And just to wrap up the kind of the three things I wanted to bring. The first one is be you. The second one is just begin that journey of understanding congruence, because we can be aligned. Business doesn't mean that you need to step outside of who you are. You can do it all naturally. And then the energy to show up in your business is also natural. So all good.
Yeah.
And the third one is watching for that cycle of expectation and disappointment. So if you are loading actions with a whole lot of expectation and experiencing a lot of disappointment, my feedback to you might be that there's some misalignment. And I know a lot of businesses owners end up in that situation. I've been there myself. I'm a veteran of the expectation disappointment cycle. But thankfully, not anymore, because I understand the BU and the congruence. So I just wanted to wrap that
Yeah.
up. Thank you very
No,
much.
that's an awesome summation. Thank you very much. Now, to get in contact with you and the steps to decide whether to have a call with you, what should people be doing?
The best thing would be to come to my website, which is ieshadelune.com.au. The link will be in
It
the
will be
show
there.
notes to save me spelling it all out. There's a lot of free resources on there, and I mean literally free. You don't even have to give me your email address or anything. There's classes that I've run, ways that you can kind of immerse in all the bits and pieces. I've written a couple of books. There's links to those on the site, and there's a holistic coaching tab, and you can read all about the way that I work, ways of working one-on-one. And if all of that speaks to you, then please book a discovery call. No cost, you and me, and we'll see if we're a good fit.
Yeah, and that's a really important thing. And I'll attest to the fact that Aisha's got lots of resources on her website that you can just, go and watch a video and learn from that. And it's not a 5-minute, let me plug what I do. It's, there's an hour video for you to sit down and really learn. And so stacks of stuff there. Thank you again so much for being here today, Iesha. I really appreciate the fact that you've turned up. I appreciate you so much. You are one of the experts that I know in this field, and I know what you deliver. I've seen results with other people out there as well. So it's not just somebody I talk to or about. So go and have a look at Aisha's website, see what she's about, and if it fits, have a meeting with her, see where you get to. Aisha
Beautiful.
Delune, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks so much. Bye.